Satyamev Jayate. In this topic, we are going to discuss about the Ladakh Range. So let's get started. As you can see in front of you, you have the Indian subcontinent. You have the structures that you know of, that is the Himalayas and the Tropic of Cancer. Now this part is something that I'm going to repeat before we talk about any range. So you can just skip this part if you have learned about this, but I'm going to repeat this before the start of any range because this is pretty important, right? So you have the Himalayas and you have the Tropic of Cancer. Now you should know that the Himalayas is not just one single person. It is comprised of many different persons. Okay, so this is the Himalayas. It is not just one single person, but it is comprised of many different ranges. So this is how it looks like. The Himalayas is considered to be part of 4 or 5 different ranges. Technically, we are going to focus on these 4: the Trans-Himalayas, the Great Himalayas Range, the Mid-Himalayas, and the Outer Himalayas, right? Essentially, we are discussing about the Trans-Himalayas. Okay, so as you can see, this is the division of the Himalayas. The very top you have the Trans-Himalayas, then you have the Great Himalayas, the Mid-Himalayas, and the Outer Himalayas. Okay, since we are going to discuss on, we have the discussion on the Trans-Himalayas, so this is the Trans-Himalayas, right? We already know that the Trans-Himalayas goes from Afghanistan to parts of China, India, and Pakistan, right? Now you should know that the Trans-Himalayas is itself divided into 4 parts. Okay, so this is a bit confusing. That is why I keep on repeating this part so that it gets stuck in your skull, right? So the Trans-Himalayas is divided into 4 parts, that is the Karakoram Range, the Ladakh Range, the Zanskar Range, and the 4th, the Kailash Range. So this is how it looks like, the Himalayas division, okay, Trans, Great, Mid, Outer, and this is the entirety of the division. Okay, so as you can see, this is how it looks like. The Himalayas is divided into 4 parts. The Trans-Himalayas is also divided into 4 parts. Okay, we are interested at this point in the Ladakh Range. Okay, Himalayas is divided into Trans, Great, Mid, Outer Himalayas, out of which the Trans-Himalayas is divided into Karakoram, Ladakh, Zanskar, and the Kailash Range. We are interested in the Ladakh Range. Okay, so let's have a discussion on the Ladakh Range, right? So once again, this is the Trans-Himalayas. The Trans-Himalayas goes around from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and China, right? Now let's have a look into the division of the Trans-Himalayas. So this is how it looks like. The Trans-Himalayas is divided into Karakoram Range, the Ladakh Range, the Zanskar Range, and the Kailash Range. We have learned about the Karakoram Range earlier, right? So let's only focus on the Ladakh Range. Okay, so we have removed all other ranges. Now, as you can see, despite removing the Karakoram Range and the Zanskar Range, we have the Ladakh Range and the Kailash Range. Essentially, we are going to talk about the Ladakh Range. It makes sense, the Ladakh Range to be present here. So why the Kailash Range is also present? Now, that's a beautiful question because the Kailash Range also happens to be part of the Ladakh Range. It's basically the same structure, same continuity. Essentially, the Kailash Range is basically the tail of the Ladakh Range, right? But we will have a detailed lecture on the Kailash Range in the coming part, right? So that's the Ladakh Range and that's the Kailash Range. So the question is, what divides the Ladakh Range from the Karakoram Range and what divides the Ladakh Range from the Zanskar Range? So let's focus on some of the important things like rivers. So as you can see, there's a river called as the Shyok River, right? That's the Shyok River, and it acts as a boundary or a division between the Ladakh Range and the Karakoram Range. Shyok River is supported by its tributary called as the Nubra River. You should know that both of these rivers, that is the Shyok River as well as the Nubra River, rises from the Karakoram Range. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so you have the Karakoram Range. Okay, at the very top you have the Karakoram Range. From the Karakoram Range, the Shyok River as well as the Nubra River arises, and it basically splits the Karakoram Range and the Ladakh Range, right? Similarly, the Ladakh Range and the Zanskar Range is split by the Indus River. So this is the Indus River. Okay, as you can see, this huge big river is the Indus River, which comes out from the Kailash range. Okay, it's a bit confusing here and there, but once or twice of revision will help you understand this. Okay, from Kailash range, this river, that is the Indus River, rises, and this is how the division looks like. Okay, once again, the Shyok River, okay, with its tributary Nubra, rises from the Karakoram Range, and it splits the Trans-Himalayas in Ladakh as Ladakh Range as well as the Karakoram Range. The Indus River splits the Zanskar Range and the Ladakh Range. As you can see, the Shyok River, okay, empties its water into the Indus River, and Indus River goes into the Arabian Sea after traveling through Pakistan. Make sense, right? So now let's discuss what is the exact range of the Ladakh Range. Okay, where can you find the Ladakh Range? Okay, so once again you have the map of the parts of the Indian subcontinent, and as you can see, if you focus on parts of Kashmir, you can see the Aksai Chin is not with India. Okay, Aksai Chin right now is illegally occupied by China. Similarly, Gilgit-Baltistan is illegally occupied by Pakistan. So at this point, India does not have control over these regions, right? This is how it looks like. Okay, as you can see, the Ladakh Range starts basically from Gilgit-Baltistan and pretty much ends in Aksai Chin, that is China. So essentially, Ladakh Range covers 3 countries as for now, that is Gilgit-Baltistan in Pakistan, parts of India, and China. Aksai Chin in China. Now remember, 80% of the Ladakh Range is in India. Okay, only some parts of the head is in Gilgit-Baltistan, and some part of it, that is the tails, is in Aksai Chin. However, if we were discussing about the Karakoram Range, if you remember, majority of the Karakoram Range was in Gilgit-Baltistan, right? So that's the Ladakh Range. Now we are going to discuss few things such as, the passes. Okay, important passes. Now before we discuss about the passes, let's talk about the average height of the mountains in the Ladakh Range. Now the average height of the mountains in Ladakh Range is around 6,000 meters. Okay, now if we compare this to one of the tallest mountain in the Karakoram Range, okay, so as you can see, this is the tallest mountain in Karakoram Range, that is the K2 mountain, and its height is 8,611 meters, significantly higher than any mountain in the Ladakh Range. K2 is located in Karakoram Range, which we have learned in the earlier part of the video. Okay, if you just go through the Karakoram Range, you will understand this. Okay, K2 is in Karakoram Range. Okay, so K2, okay, is significantly taller than any average mountain in Ladakh Range. Okay, and let's now discuss about few important facts on the passes. Now there are 3 important passes that you have to know of. One is the Chorbat Digarla, okay, the Chorbat Digarla. The second one is Kadungala Pass, and the third one is Changla Pass. Once again, the 3 important passes are the Chorbat Digarla Pass, the second one is the Kadungla Pass, and the third one is the Changla Pass. Okay, now let's understand the importance of these passes, okay, geographically as well as historically. And let's understand where the city of Leh is located. So as you can see, that's the Kadungla Pass, and the city of Leh is almost located adjacent to the Kadungla Pass. So this is where the city of Leh is located. Okay, and Kadungla Pass basically connected the ancient capital of Yarkand, as well as the Changla Pass connected the ancient capital of Tibet. Okay, so these 2 regions historically was quite important in history, Yarkand as well as Tibet. Now from Yarkand and Tibet, they reached Leh. Okay, from Yarkand and Tibet, they reached Leh through the Kadungla Pass as well as the Changla Pass. A very important thing that you have to know. Okay, so why this is important? So as it happens, Leh was an important trading center. Now remember this, the city of Leh lies in a very dry region, Dry region means it receives very small amount of rainfall. Now this is important to know because despite receiving very less rainfall, it meant that there was very less cultivation. Very less cultivation means very less economy, but still Leh managed to be a very prominent town in the medieval ages. This is only because Leh was adjacent to the Indus River and also next to the important passes such as the Kardungla Pass and the Changla Pass. So this is how the trade used to work. Okay, first, the people in Leh used to receive goods from Yarkand as well as Tibet. Okay, they used to receive goods from Yarkand as well as Tibet. Okay, so the still as well as in the earlier times as well as still now, the majority of the trade was done on yak. Okay, it's an animal, was done on yak. And this is how the trade caravans used to look like. Okay, the trade caravans used to come from these passes and enter into Leh. Okay, from Yarkand and Tibet, the city of Leh used to get many different things. These things include the pashmina wool, okay, pashmina wool, which is quite good wool that comes from a goat, okay, and then they used to have coral and silver, okay, pashmina wool, coral and silver, and from Srinagar, Leh used to receive Indian spices, okay, and some clothes, okay. So Leh was a center where the goods from the Srinagar also come, okay, and also the goods from Yarkand and Tibet used to come. So essentially, Leh prospered. So Leh used to be a very important town during the medieval ages, only because of its strategic location near to the Kardungla Pass as well as the Changla Pass. Right? So despite this, you should understand that since it was located to the passes, they were also attacked by many invaders. For example, the Mongols attacked Leh, okay, the Mongols attacked Leh, the Tibetans also attacked Leh, then the Dogras from the Indian part also attacked Leh, and furthermore, the Baltis also attacked Leh from these passes. So essentially, because of these passes, Leh prospered, but at the same time, they were also prone to invasions. Strategic location, but prone to invasions. Okay, now let's understand why Leh happened to be a dry place. Now, remember this, despite all the invasions, Leh still managed to be a Buddhist kingdom. Okay, it's because of the resilience of the people, they still managed to be Buddhist. A lot majority of them are still Buddhist. Okay, now let's understand why Leh is a dry place. So this is Leh, okay, Ladakh region and Leh, and as you can see, you can't find any water puddle or any source, any sign of moisture there. Okay, as you can see the picture, there is no sign of moisture. For example, I am sweating a lot. Okay, you can't expect to be, full of humidity, or there is no moisture in that place. Okay, there is no rainfall in that place. Right? So the question is why? Why Leh doesn't get moisture? So let's explore that. So as it happens, so as you can see, this is a tropical rainforest. These are those regions where the region receives the maximum amount of rainfall. Okay, these are those regions where they receive the maximum amount of rainfall. And this is how the process works. Okay, these regions are closer to the sea. From the sea, the clouds receive all the moisture, okay, and they bring all the moisture into these regions as rainfall. Okay, as you can see, it's bringing the rainfall. Right? Now the problem here is once they reach the Indian continent, the Indian subcontinent, they release all their moisture in form of rains. Okay, so parts of Kerala and Goa and the whole of Western Ghats receive the maximum amount of rainfall. Okay, but once they reach the Indian subcontinent, the parts of India, let's say Madhya Pradesh, Orissa, Maharashtra, okay, all these regions, they slowly release all their, moisture as rainfall. Now they reach parts of, Himalayas, okay, they reach parts of Himalayas. Okay, as you can see, they have reached parts of Himalayas. They bring abundant rainfall in parts of Himalayas, let's say Himachal Pradesh and the adjoining areas. But once they reach the Trans-Himalayas, these clouds don't have that kind of moisture. Okay, that's one reason. And the second reason that you have to understand is the Great Himalayas actually act as a barrier. The Great Himalayas are quite taller than the rest of the Himalayas, most of the Himalayas. Okay, as you can see, compared to the Ladakh Himalayas, the Great Himalayas are significantly taller, and they actually prohibit these rains to reach the Ladakh Himalayas. Okay, so that is why the Ladakh Himalayas and the Zanskar Himalayas are, those regions are pretty much dry, right?